What's up, everybody? Welcome in to the Rob Gucci Show. We are back after an attempt to do this last night fell short because for some reason I got dizzy. A lot of you guys that are on my Patreon, by the way, Home by 3 is a new Patreon, but for some reason on Patreon, it says you can join for free or you can join for a membership. If you join for free, you ain't gonna see anything. So shout out to the Home by 3 Patreon. The way that'll work is we do 2 or 3 episodes a week. It'll just be an extension of one of the episodes, if you will. Welcome in, everybody. Last night I was doing this. And for those of you that have been on my personal Patreon at Rob Gucci Show, sometimes I don't get personal, but I will say things that I don't want 100 people to hear. 30 people here. Can my walls shut the fuck up? It's like the second I start podcasting, my whole house just starts making noise. But I was telling you guys how I accidentally broke my brain in half during that 8-month bender, and I have it's like a vertigo type thing. And I got it in the middle of the episode. We were like 10 minutes in last night, and I was like, holy fuck. And I was like trying to power through. And I was like, dude, I'm not about to pass. I've never passed out from this shit, but it feels like you're on the Bobby brink of it. It feels like, can this wall shut up? I swear to God, dude. Whenever I start recording, I think my neighbors are doing something. My neighbors, dude. I'd like to issue, we're going to get into this soon, but I'd like to issue an apology to the United States Army and military. We're going to get into that. I also have to issue an apology to one of my neighbors who I've been calling a weirdo because he is weird. He relentlessly stares at me, the bottom half of my body in the back, and I'll be on the treadmill at the local gym. He'll be looking at me, licking his lips. He has these like really dark like circles around his eyes. This guy just gives me, I don't like this guy's vibe. And without getting too personal, I think he could possibly be a full-blown pedophile. Because it was a young girl in the gym one time, and it wasn't his daughter, confirmed. And he was like way too chatty with this chick, just way too over the top. And I was overhearing it. And he's asking her about like going to school and blah, blah, blah. And I guess she was like going into college. And without spending too much time on this, I just found it, and it could be a family friend, but I found his demeanor was very off-putting, where I was like putting myself in my future daughter's shoes. And I'd just be like, yeah, dude, I don't know about that. There's only a certain amount of time you can spend talking to little kids, especially if they are, well, not even especially if they're girls, just especially if you're a grown man, there's like a shot clock for that. You know, don't go to Yogurtland by yourself and chat up children. That's a whole different thing probably than I'm talking about, but I just didn't like the way he's just fucking weird. And he's kind of weird to me, and I don't know him. I don't know this man. He's my neighbor. I don't like his energy. I don't like his vibes. And the less that I've started, the more I've gotten older and the more I've kind of been more present in the moment, and the more I've been appreciating like the ocean and stuff, I'm more in tune with people's vibrations than ever, I feel like. And I don't like this guy's fucking vibe. But anyway, I do have to apologize to this guy because I actually think that he might be mentally challenged. And not that he doesn't know right from wrong, but I think he could qualify to get like at least a handicap spot. You know what I'm saying? And I've kind of been ragging on this guy on my Patreon, and you know, I don't bring up anything personal about him. We're not going to spend any time on it. But he's fucking weird, and it just gives me I just don't want to be around this guy. And I feel like I trust my gut when it comes to this fucking weirdo. And I just like to apologize if he is slower than the average human being or something like that, or maybe I got this all wrong. So I just like to apologize to that guy in case he finds this and finds my Patreon and decides to come over here in the middle of the night and do something. My whole wall is vibrating right here. It's like unbelievable. Didn't make a noise. The second I turned on the podcast, it started vibrating. Okay, welcome into the Bob Gucci Show, everybody. Shout out to all these people in the chat that are liking my jacket. This is Just Dishing. I got it in Buffalo. Shout out to those boys, Just Dishing. They're collabing with New Era, which is cool, man. Those guys have been at it so long. I've been in touch with those boys for like, it feels like a decade now. But for their collab with New Era, I thought that was really cool to see. It's cool to see somebody just have a goal and go after it, because a lot of the times in the world we live in, people end up like Rob Reiner's kid, where you have like this sense of entitlement and you end up stabbing someone in their sleep, or you end up killing your parents, or you end up just like bitter. And the real thing is like you're mad at your own life, but you just kind of take the back seat. You start blaming everyone else when you hit that point where shit didn't really work out the way you envisioned, and you just start fucking blaming everyone else, and everyone's the bad guy, and excuse this, excuse that. So it's nice to see those guys, because that's like a team or a crew of guys over there just dishing, that seem like, they have their head on straight, and they've been working so hard for so long, so long. And they have a really cool storefront there that collab with New Era. And it's just cool to see, man. It's cool to see shit pay off for people. Because like I said, a lot of people end up stabbing their parents over an argument at Conan O'Brien's Christmas party. People just, I feel like more than ever, especially because social, it's probably the internet. Like, people see all these things, and they see Alcaraz winning, multiple majors in tennis, and they see people that are hotter than them, and no one wants to work. No one wants to do a podcast out of their 8-square-foot kitchen. You know what I mean? No one wants to do it. Nobody wants to post podcasts and get 300 views. Nobody wants to grind. So for those guys to kind of grind like that, it was awesome to see. And it's fucking 7 p.m. at night. I'm drinking an Americano, which later in the night, 3 hours from now, when I'm laying in bed, I'm going to say, why the fuck did I do that? But we'll save that for another episode. Welcome into the show, everybody. Shout out to the chat. Yeah, dude. So basically, I'd like to start this episode by issuing an apology to the United States military. And I'd like to walk some things back that I said that I deeply regret. And I don't always get it right. A lot of the times, like, especially on the internet, people are like, that's not funny. Dude, sometimes I don't even think the shit I say is funny. I'm just trying my fucking best. Sometimes you don't get it right. Sometimes you slip up and you say multiple slurs in one sentence, and you got to ask the editor to edit that out. Sometimes it doesn't work. We're doing live shows now. We've done 15 of them. You think everything I say works? No. Sometimes I fuck up. Sometimes I'll do whole episodes and I say, that was gay. I wish I didn't publish that online. But you move on. It is what it is. I mean, that's baseball and that's show business. It fucking happens. However, I do want to take back something that I said about the Army on Home by 3 that's been keeping me up at night for 2 days now. Basically, I was questioning why disgruntled war veterans are so mad on the roads in Phoenix. They have horrible temper tantrums. They're irrational. They love flipping you off. They love driving aggressive near you. They love threatening you with weapons. They love saying, fuck you. They love calling you the F word that rhymes with maggot. That's a big one. That happens to me a lot, believe it or not. As a guy that likes to walk on the beach, likes to pick up seashells, I love a good wood-burning fireplace. A lot of people would say that's gay. And war veterans have been calling me gay on these streets for a while now since I've got back from Buffalo. Shout out to everybody that came to all of our live shows. Really cool, man. Like, fuck, dude. I keep thinking about that Zany show in Chicago. I was like, okay, dude. All right, like, we're in the arena. It's small, but we're in the arena. We're here. We're making progress. So anyway, on Home by 3, I was kind of questioning why. I was basically saying this. As a war veteran, why are you so fucking mad that I have to make a right-hand turn? They get so mad. It's always guys with the Marine Corps stickers and blah, blah, blah. And I was basically questioning it. And then we started talking about how maybe these guys see the desert in Arizona and it reminds them of the desert in Iraq or Afghanistan. And it sets off this trigger in their head. And then they just take it off on some douchebag like me that is, is listening to the Chainsmokers with my latte. And they're like, fuck this F word that rhymes with a maggot. And then they tailgate me. They follow me. And I was basically like, guys, calm down. We're in Phoenix. You're not in Afghanistan anymore. And I felt it was, looking back on the episode, I felt it was a little bit insensitive because those guys go through like gnarly stuff. You know what I mean? Like crazy, unthinkable things. And I appreciate the Army. Everyone knows that. If you've been with me on this journey for 8 years now when it comes to podcasting. And then, I started spewing this bullshit on Twitter in November of 2024. Sorry, November of 2012. Jesus, only 12 years off there. Yeah, I just, I do appreciate the troops, man. And even though half the missions out there are to line the pockets of corporate guys and these guys in Congress that are, these weird guys, they're putting things, they're weird guys, man. They're weird people that crave power. My friend, I'm not going to name names, got in a very heated argument at a restaurant in Diddywood, California this week with an Asian lawyer. And they were arguing about politics. Politics came up. Not going to name names on who this was. Not going to spend too much time on it. But basically my stance was I was like in the middle of them. And I was actually going like this for all my YouTube watchers out there. I was going in and out. And they were fighting in front of me and fighting behind me, yelling across from me. And to the pussy in the chat, Bryce, that says I'm backtracking. I'm not backtracking. It's simply just reevaluating what I said and apologizing to the entire Army because I no longer feel the way I felt on that podcast 2 days ago. You fucking pussy. One day you're going to get older and you're going to realize that self-reflection is a useful tool. But until then, shut the fuck up. Let me say what I want to say. So I'd like to apologize officially to the Army. You're more than welcome to scream at me on the highway. Just don't hurt me. Don't damage my car. Don't get violent. But I just like to say that in return for your service in these wars that they rile you guys up to fight, even though half the time we shouldn't even be doing that. But that's baseball, dude. War is baseball. Baseball is a business. War is a business. Marriage is a business. Divorce is a business. Podcasting is a business. My gift to you, and I'm speaking directly to my military listeners, is that feel free to scream at me and take out your frustration on me on the highway of Phoenix. I'm not going to take it personal. That's what I have to say. So we'll move on from that. I think you understand by now my take on this. I didn't mean to insult these guys or downplay the mental trauma that they have from stepping on IUDs in Afghanistan and getting, and seeing all the horrible things they had to see, right? Like the worst thing I got to deal with is some weirdo in the gym that's my neighbor staring at my ass. So thank you for your service. But anyway, back to politics. My friend got in an argument. And listen, here's the deal. So I touched on it on HB3 a little bit. I'm on YouTube right now. And no, I didn't DoorDash this coffee. Man, the internet just does not let you breathe. It's fucking crazy. I drove and I got the coffee. I didn't DoorDash the coffee. I'm turning off the I'm not looking at this shit for right now. I need to focus on doing this podcast right now in front of all 13 people. So long story short, it was a lady. She was sitting by herself, and we're at one of those long tables to where like you kind of share tables. It's like a West Coast thing. They don't do that as much on it. The fuck is this? Oh my God. I was like, is there a dildo in my pocket? It's a massive Sharpie from the Buffalo show. King size. And I don't bring this around with me. Someone actually gave this to me because I was signing stuff at Buffalo, which is a really cool feeling. Thanks to everyone that asked me. Whenever someone asks me to sign their jersey, I'm like, dude, are you sure? It's going to fucking ruin it. Yeah. Holy shit. But anyway, so we're at this long table, and this lady's by herself, and I just kind of, I don't remember what I said, but I was just like, kind of like struck up a conversation, a very platonic way, not hitting on her. She's a little bit older, whatever. That's fine. She could be older, whatever. And she's kind of like with our group a little bit. And then she dropped one like crazy political sentence about, and it had to do with white privilege. And keep in mind, we had a black friend at the table. Okay. So I'm not going to get into it, and we're not going to spend too much time on it. But she basically ended up calling my friend racist and like that whole fucking neck of the woods that I don't deal with. Like I said, I was sitting there like, hey guys, listen, we're all going to be fucking dead soon. None of this shit matters. The only thing that matters is having fun. And then she actually challenged me about voting. And I deflected the question because I'm not going to answer your political question on a Saturday night in Los Angeles when I'm with my friends. And I just said, my answer to her was, I just don't feel like the government. What did I say? I was like 19 glasses of wine deep. I said, like, I avoided her question because even though she's a lawyer, in my head, I'm like, okay, she's going to put me in an absolute pretzel, and not the kind of pretzel I want to be in on a Saturday night in Los Angeles. And I just avoided it. And I said something along the lines of, if the government truly had our best interest, I don't think that promoting fast food, cigarettes, alcohol, and other things would be allowed. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like they'd be promoting fruit, and they'd be promoting getting 10,000 steps a day if they really like gave a fuck. You know what I mean? And listen, I have no problem with the government. You guys do your thing. This is not my world. If any government listeners are out there, this is officially a backtracking episode. I don't want any fucking problems. All I care about is having fun. That's it. That's the only thing that matters. So anyway, she's having this argument with my friend, and then she basically calls the whole table racist as our African-American friend is at the table. And I'm like, lady, you're a racist. I didn't say that, but in my head, the situation ended up spilling out onto the street, which is hilarious. Like, we ended up closing out, and I'm like sitting there like, oh my God, like this is all going so well until she basically made this outlandish comment that set my friend off. I just don't have the time of day to argue with a stranger like that. That's why when these military guys on the highway are screaming at me because I made a bad U-turn, screaming that they're going to kill me, it's just like, I don't have anything to say back, dude. It's all good, dude. You know, we're all just trying to live. But that's the problem. I feel like less people are trying to live and more people are trying to fight recently, which is fucked. But anyway, yeah, interesting night in Los Angeles. I had a really good time there, actually. And it was good to get out there. And I was in the Santa Monica area. And, you know, besides kind of hopscotching through the crackheads that are passed out on the street, great area, great piece of real estate. And I really enjoyed it. Just it is a weird place, though. It is a weird place. It's crazy. It's almost like the definition of you can't always have what you want or you get what you want. Because it's like a perfect piece of real estate. The weather, the ocean, the rooftop bars, the way their grass feels. I was rubbing on some grass. I was like, everything is just so fertile in California. I'm not talking about the Hispanic population either. That might be racist, but that might be racist. Jamie, edit that out. It's not racist. It's just a fucking observatory thing. And I actually admire it. The way the Hispanic families have big families and they value families so much. Like, that's cool to me. Like, my honky ass, I feel like I would love that. I respect that. I think that's a really cool value to have. It's just like for I don't know if the honkies have I think if you had to rank family values, I think the honkies have the worst family-oriented values. Somebody in the chat said, "Bro's got ADHD Hall of Fame. Welcome into the Rob Gucci show." And then also accused me of lying about something. Said, "You did not say that. What are you talking about?" I got to stop looking at this chat. It's toxic. But yeah, I don't know if you had to rank the systems of who is better at doing family stuff. I'd say the whites are got to be at the bottom of the food chain because I think I don't know. Like for example, I just watched the Octopus Teacher again. I rewatched it. If you don't know that Netflix documentary, it's about a dude that dives in the ocean every single day, and he ends up befriending an octopus. And to me, it's like that's a perfect example. Like, hey, dude, why don't you spend time with your family? So so I rewatched it. And the first time I ever saw the Octopus Teacher, I thought it was really cool. The guy was like a photographer and he was in filmmaking. And I kind of in my mind brushed over the beginning of the documentary to where he said like my life was in complete shambles and in the trenches. So I just started diving in the ocean every fucking day. And I met this actual real life octopus and I started going in there every day and I formed a relationship with this octopus. And I thought it was cool the first time I saw it because you learned a lot. He's kind of teaching you about what the octopus does. You kind of learned about the octopus's emotional intelligence and the way they can do things and how they see the world a little bit. And the one thing that was kind of weird is how he was touching it and it like reached out and touched him. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. This guy has absolutely had this octopus touch his penis before. And I was a little creeped out, but I was still fascinated by the documentary because I love the ocean like that. And I thought it was pretty cool. And then I watched it again a couple nights ago. And I didn't feel the same way. I was like, this might be fucked up. And the filmmaking, great. The shots he got underwater, great. The narration, great. The production as a whole for the documentary, 10 out of fucking 10. 10 out of 10. Incredible. And I'm not downplaying the work this man put in. Who's the guy that did this? Jamie, pull that up. Who created the Octopus Teacher? Because listen, I think... What? Searching for images. I don't want to see images. The Octopus Teacher refers to the acclaimed 2020 Netflix documentary, My Octopus Teacher. Okay, so this is my second time rewatching it in 5 years. This is actually a good example of how before I was just talking about sometimes I say things and 3 hours later I'm like, I don't feel the same way. It's kind of like this. When it came out in 2020, that's when I watched it. And I watched it 5 years later this past week. Okay, so Craig Foster, South African filmmaker, as he forms an extraordinary bond with a wild common octopus in a kelp forest. Jamie, pull that down. Jamie, pull that down. All right, it's down. So I don't want to take away from that. I respect and admire the guy's hard work to do what he did and capture the documentary and all that. But I will say, the second time watching the documentary 5 years later from when I first watched it, I started to realize this is kind of fucked up. The beginning of the documentary, he says like something went tragically wrong. And I don't know if he's talking about his wife or his... What happened to Craig? Jamie, pull that up. Hold on. I want to see what happened to his family. What happened to Craig Foster's family when he is referring to... Maybe he was just in a fight with his wife or something, to bad times in his documentary, The My Octopus Teacher. Because in the beginning of the documentary and looking back on it 5 years ago, I didn't really realize, okay, he openly discusses a difficult period in his life marked by severe professional burnout and depression, which he describes as 2 years of absolute hell. Yes, that's what he said. Foster explains that his personal crisis deeply affected his relationship at home. He became unable to properly connect with or be present with his family, feeling incapable of parenting his son. His withdrawal and emotional turmoil caused suffering for his family overall as he was distant and struggling internally. A key motivation for his daily cold water dives in the kelp forest was to heal himself in order to reconnect and better support his family. Well, I guess it's a good thing. Jay, pull that down. I guess that's a good thing that he went that route too, because you could easily just pick up a crack pipe. You can easily go down to the local pub. You can easily cheat on your wife. You can easily start beating the crap out of your son. But he said, you know what? I'm going to go try to heal in the ocean. So I guess that's technically a good thing that he tried to do that. Or he did do that, I guess. I don't know how his marriage doing now. And I just remember thinking, like, he was going in the ocean every single day. And he has a son. Wouldn't the son be like, Dad, can we play catch? Can you stop going into the ocean and hooking up with this octopus? Like, it's getting to the point where now it's like you're not satisfying mom because you're saving your A game for the octopus. And I don't want to insinuate that there was anything disgusting going on between the octopus and this guy, but I'm telling you, as the second time around of watching this documentary, I did feel like this relationship with this octopus was becoming something that was more than friends. Especially because he wasn't playing football with his son. He wasn't going to the park with his son. He stopped buying his wife flowers. He wasn't doing that thing his wife likes because he was always in the fucking ocean with this octopus. If I'm a wife at that point, I'm saying, I'm fucking tired of this octopus. I'm going down there with a knife and kill this bitch. And the octopus was a girl, too. That's a big part of it. If I'm a wife and the octopus is a dude, I wouldn't, boys are just being boys in the kelp forest in the sea. But the fact, someone in the chat just said, Trump addressing the nation right now, but we're watching RGS. That's ball. I didn't know Trump is addressing the nation. I also don't care. Like, what are they doing? Like, I don't know, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just have a good time. So anyway, putting myself in the wife's shoes, I would be a little bit concerned that this octopus that my wife, and listen, I know he was struggling mentally, and everyone has their mental struggles, and everybody, I salute him for diving into the ocean every day and dating an octopus instead of resorting to drugs or resorting to, getting a calf tattoo that he's going to later regret or something like that, or dating a waitress or hooking up with a flight attendant. He was just, fuck it, I'm going to try to heal my own chin by going into the ocean. And I think that that's like pretty healthy. But on the other end of the spectrum, his wife had to be wondering, what is he doing with this female octopus? So if I'm the wife at that point, I don't know if you become jealous of an octopus, because it's not like they were getting divorced. It's like they were still together. Like, I'll put it this way. If my wife had like severe depression, she was going through some shit like this guy was going through, and she's like, yo, I'm going in the ocean every day because I just need to cleanse my soul. And I said, do what you got to do, honey. Like, we're going to get through this together. That's why we got married. We're not going to just get divorced in 8 months like everybody else is doing these days. Like, I know kids my age in literal custody battles. That's crazy. And that's why I'm thankful that my biggest problem is this weirdo in the gym that's a dude that's my neighbor staring at my ass, because I could be in a custody battle right now. But anyway, my point to that was, like, if you get married to a chick and she's the right one, like, through the good times and the bad, let's fucking ball, dude. Like, let's try to do this thing. So, but if my wife was like, okay, things are bad for me, I need to go to the ocean every day, I'd be like, do what you gotta do, right? But if I found out that she was going down there and like interacting, having an emotional connection with an octopus that's a dude, let's say it's like a good octopus, like a big one, black one. I'm just kidding. They could switch colors actually. um, I'm just thinking about stuff that I shouldn't say publicly on live stream right now. But I'm trying to think if I would care. Like if she said, "Honey, I have something to tell you." I was like, "What's going on?" She's like, "I no. How about this? I would bring it up. I'd be like, hey, I agree that you're going to cleanse your soul in the ocean every day and scuba diving and snorkeling, and I am glad it's working. But you're going every single day. Like you're going every night. You're going every night late at night. You're going into the ocean, and I have my needs too. And I'm not talking about, needing my laundry done or anything like that. Because I'll do my own fucking laundry. I don't agree. Like, dude, if you're married to someone, sometimes they do the laundry, sometimes you do the laundry. What the fuck ever? Who gives a fuck? Sometimes you make dinner, sometimes they make dinner. Who fucking cares? Sometimes they designate a drive, sometimes you do. Sometimes you both end up getting drunk and staying at a Holiday Inn Express, even though your house is around the corner. Just tearing that place up. What was I fucking talking about? Fuck. The fuck was I just talking about? Oh, but if I was like, yo, you're going into the ocean a little bit too much. Like now it's every day. Now I never get to see you. Now I'm getting affected by this. And I'm glad that you didn't resort to red wine and pills because that's what a lot of moms do. But I am concerned with the way that you're snorkeling every single day with this octopus. It's a dude. Who is this guy? And then I would start getting a little concerned. Like, this guy has 8 legs. He can switch bodies. He can do things that I can't do. Now, is my wife a fucking weirdo dating an octopus? There's things that I would be. I'm not saying I would be jealous of an octopus, but I would start asking questions because that's how that. I wonder how the guy's wife in the documentary felt. That's all I'm saying. And obviously it's work because he's doing work. He's filming. He has to find this thing every day, even though he had basically a key to the octopus's house. He was down there all the time. They were fucking having the eggs Benedict together and they were frolicking around down there. I would be like, what are you doing down there? If I was what are you doing down there all the time? If I was the guy's wife and you go through his phone and you see like there's pictures of this octopus all over it and there's selfies. Why are you taking selfies with this octopus? Now this is going too far. And he's like, honey, it's for the documentary. It's like, no. You do not need to have this octopus's legs suction cup to your ass for the documentary. I know that Netflix doesn't allow that. I want to know what you're doing with this octopus every night. Your son needs you. I need you. Enough is enough. I want to know. If you're having feelings for this octopus. That's what I would do if I was the wife. I would dead ass be concerned that my husband has feelings for this octopus. I'm going to regret this coffee so bad. 7:15 on a Wednesday night. I'm drinking a fucking Americano. But yeah, so the second time around, I'm sorry. This might be a really bad episode. I'm sorry. Sometimes when I do the episodes live with the chat, I think about the audio listeners, and I have a lot of audio listeners. And I think about like, fuck, like he's looking at the chat again. But yeah, I just think that the second time around watching a documentary, it's kind of a cool experiment. Go and watch something that you didn't watch for like 5 years and see if you feel the same way. Because I didn't feel the same way. I thought it was a great documentary. I did. I just There was part of me, it felt very dark at times. It felt like there was something wrong, like a guy diving in. It's one thing if you need to cleanse your soul and go on a walk or go swim in a kelp forest under the ocean, blah blah blah. But then forming a relationship with an octopus to where you're shedding tears over it when it. I'm not going to give a spoiler alert. Spoiler alert: the octopus dies. Okay, that's where I'm just like, great documentary though. I'm sure this is a great dude, and I really apologize for. I'm not accusing of this guy of being in an intimate relationship with this octopus, but I'm just saying, as the wife, where do you draw the line? Fuck, spilled my coffee. Where do you draw the line with this fucking thing? You know, is this octopus? Has this octopus been inside of my husband's pants? I think like there's a chance. I'm not accusing this guy of everything. I'm just saying there's a chance. There is a chance that this guy, Jamie, pull that up. How many times did Craig Foster go diving with this octopus? Oh my God. Oh my God. Jamie, pull that down. I don't even want to show these people on YouTube. Craig Foster visited and dived with the octopus nearly every day for approximately a year, covering most of her roughly 18-month natural lifespan. Oh my God, the octopus was a child? If octopus are only alive for 18 months, that's crazy. He's an octophile, this guy. This amounts to hundreds of dives, likely around 300 to 330, accounting for the year-long period. Holy fucking shit. The documentary and Foster's accounts describe him tracking her movements and visiting her den daily, building trust from curiosity and play to hunting. What do you mean by play? Jesus. I don't want to search this, but I want to search, is there a chance that this relationship was sexual with this octopus? Jamie, pull that up. Was there a chance that this octopus at one point had its tentacles inside of this man's board shorts? I think it's a logical question. And a lot of people right now are probably listening to this and going, I'm fucked up. But I'm just being honest, man. Every day for 300 days? If you're the wife of this guy, you're not concerned about that? And this guy's not curious? I would never do that. A principal? Not putting a tentacle near my sack? But you have to understand that this is like a very intense relationship with this octopus. He's seeing it every day. You see anything every day, any day, you're going to end up dating it. I mean, Jesus Christ, dude. I mean, Diddy's been in prison for under a year and he's dating half the guys in there because he's around them. And it's not like a dog. It's a totally different situation. He's going out of his way. It's like a long-distance relationship. He's going out of his way to dive in this ocean, find this octopus. He feels emotional about this octopus. The octopus feels a type of way about him. Imagine like his sexual encounters with his wife went like way down during this time. That would be interesting. This is weird, dude. I don't like the way this podcast is heading right now. Shout out to Sonny's Pizza in Los Angeles. It was a really good pizza. Very exclusive pizza. You had to like book an appointment to get your pizza. And then like when they sell out, they sell out. Very good. Very photogenic pizza down there at Sonny's in Los Angeles. I was glad to try that. One of the things that got me, dude, Sonny's Pizza got my ass. I'm usually not a big see a thing on Instagram guy and go do it. But being pizza deprived and bagel deprived in Arizona, they have it, but it's just not as good. I saw a picture of this pizza place and I was like, damn, I'm gonna be in LA. I gotta try this shit. And it was good. So that was good. Two pizza pies, $86. Steal. But yeah, guys, I think that's gonna do it for this episode. I'm looking at the chat and somebody said that Trump is roasting Somalians right now during his State of the Union. Like, did you expect anything different? Yeah, that's the one thing about that fight between that Asian lady and my friend at that restaurant in Los Angeles is she was saying like it was so much easier for white guys in her law school to get to the top. And it could have been. I don't fucking know. I wasn't there. And I'm not going to argue about it because everyone loves to generalize like who are things harder for this person? And like, yeah, dude, you can definitely be in situations where it's harder for you. I know women in the medical field that are like the older doctors treat them like shit because they can. So in that situation, it's kind of like a men versus women thing in the workplace. Yeah, it's definitely real. But there was one thing she said where Obama came up. I don't know. I don't even want to get into this because I don't care. And I also don't want to like spend time on this because it was my friend that was in an argument with her. I'm mostly on my friend's side. I am, when it got to the point that it got to, I was on my friend's side because she was totally irrational. I understood some of the things she was saying and I agreed to some extent. But she like flipped the switch and went AWOL and was like generalizing a ton. And I was just like, dude, Obama strangled his way to the top position in the world as president and commander in chief of the United States. Like, don't tell me that you're not capable of doing anything. You know what I'm saying? However, I do understand that there are situations that people get into where they're stuck because like their boss is prejudiced or someone doesn't like the fact they're Jewish or it's like there's that type of shit is everywhere. But you can't generalize it. You know what I'm saying? Like if there's one point you could take away from this podcast is don't take away anything I'm saying and just realize that it's all about having fun and playing baseball and having a good time. You have to enjoy your life like that guy in the airport when I was eavesdropping that guy in the airport. Enjoy your life. That's the only thing. People get so wrapped up. They get caught in that trap. They get so worked up about stuff. The algorithm's got them worked up. The algorithm's taking a hold of them. The algorithm is doing bad stuff to them. That's what they want. Stupid, dude. Yeah, if you're so worked up about something that you can't control, and don't give me that bullshit about like you can control, you can vote. That's not what I'm fucking talking about. And no, you can't. Well, you could if you're like high up you're in Parks and Rec or some shit. You can like the community wants a dog park or something. I guess you can kind of organize you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying you can't make a difference in anything. I'm just saying if you're hands off with stuff and you're getting worked up about it, but you're intentionally hands off, like, what are you doing, dude? Open a Discover card, go to Mexico. Who cares? And I'm not saying don't care about anything. I'm just saying, I say it every fucking episode, dude. Now I'm getting mad. It's like, why don't people have fun why can't people value fun anymore? It's like no one, you know what I would do? If I would turn on the State of the Union if Trump was up there and he's like, I'm not gonna do a Trump impression because I don't know how. But if they're like, yo, we all just need to like have fun, dude, I would watch it. I'd be like, yes. Like, don't get so rattled about what's on your Instagram reel. So fired up, dude. Fuck me, dude. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm being short-sighted because, like, no, I'm not. I have my own fucking problems too. Everyone has their fucking problems. The thing is, like, I'm just saying that we got to wrap this podcast up. Jamie, pull that down. We just have to. People aren't having enough fun. That's what I'm saying. Anything else? Anything else? I did want to retell that story about when the cops pulled me out of school because I said I was going to jump off a bridge in RuneScape, but we will save that for next week. Got scammed in RuneScape. Told the kid if he didn't get my GP back, which are the coins in RuneScape, I'm basically going to off myself, which I obviously didn't feel that way. I was just trying to get him to feel guilty for scamming me at the Varrock West Bank in RuneScape. All right, last thing. We're going to pull up the RuneScape map. I'll show you guys exactly where I got scammed. But anyway, yeah, I got pulled out of school and I had to go home because the cops were at the house and they had like printed out paperwork of what I said in the game because Jagex, which is the company that owns RuneScape, takes that shit very seriously. And I didn't know that. But I basically had to tell them, yeah, I was just kidding. I got scammed at the Varrock West Bank. All right, this is not loading. All right, guys, thanks for listening. The Rob Gucci Show, as always. Toronto sold out, Ottawa sold out, Montreal tickets are on sale now at homebuy3.shop. Appreciate you guys. I don't know if I'll see you again before Christmas. Maybe I'll release an audio episode, strictly audio episode because I'm on the road. Dude, you guys know this shit already, bro. You guys mean a lot to me, and every time I have a lot of fun doing this show, even if it's talking about a guy that had a relationship with an octopus, and I basically was accusing him of illicit behavior with an animal, but I don't mean it. Have a good night. Be safe. Don't drunk drive. Merry Christmas. Happy Christmas. Merry Hanukkah. Kwanzaa. All that bullshit. Whatever the fuck. All right. We out of here. I'm going to regret this.